There's a reason why some women effortlessly command attention, while others chase endlessly and get nothing in return. The difference? Power. But here's the truth no one tells you. You don't make a man weak for you by chasing, pleasing, or proving yourself. You make him weak by doing nothing at all. That's right. The more you pull back, the harder he falls. The less you seek validation, the more he craves yours. It's not about playing games, it's about understanding what truly captivates a man at his core. The problem? Too many women think they have to give more, love harder, and sacrifice themselves to keep a man interested. But that only makes him comfortable, not obsessed. The moment he knows he has you completely, the chase ends. So, how do you reverse this? How do you trigger an irresistible pull that keeps him craving you, thinking about you, fearing losing you, without doing anything extra? This is what we're diving into today. The real psychology behind emotional attraction. The silent, effortless power that makes a man addicted to your presence. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll learn today will change the way you handle men forever. And before we start, tell me in the comments, what's the biggest mistake you've made when trying to make a man desire you? Let's talk. 1. Confidence is key. You think confidence is about being loud, about being noticed, about proving something. If enough people admire you, if the right man desires you, then confidence will come. But that's not confidence. That's dependency wrapped in a disguise. Real confidence doesn't ask. It doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't seek validation. It just is. A woman who walks into a room with quiet certainty, who doesn't need to be the center of attention, but naturally commands it, is unforgettable. Not because she chases admiration, but because she doesn't need it. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." It's not about ignorance, it's about freedom from performance. The moment you stop trying to control how others see you, you step into your real power. You've seen it before. The woman who doesn't fit the mold, yet she's the one everyone watches. The woman who doesn't fight for attention, yet somehow she has it. The woman who doesn't try to make him weak, yet somehow he keeps coming back. Not because she's the most beautiful in the room, not because she tries harder than anyone else, but because she radiates something deeper. Certainty, self-respect, something a man cannot easily obtain. And what is rare is valued. There was a time when you questioned yourself. Maybe you stood in front of the mirror before a date, tilting your head at your reflection, wondering if you were beautiful enough. Maybe you carefully crafted a text, deleting, rewriting, analyzing every word, making sure it sounded just right. Maybe you waited for his response, your stomach tightening with uncertainty, hoping this time he'd see your worth. But here's the truth. He wasn't drawn to the outfit you perfected. He wasn't mesmerized by the words you planned. He wasn't addicted to the way you sought his approval. He was drawn to the moments you forgot to impress him. When you laughed without thinking, when you spoke without filtering, when you existed without needing his reaction. Women do not lack confidence. They are simply misplacing it. You don't earn confidence by trying harder. You don't unlock it by waiting for a man to confirm it. You reclaim it by realizing that it was never theirs to give you in the first place. Imagine a diamond buried deep in the earth. It doesn't glow, it doesn't chase light, it doesn't beg to be seen. And yet, the moment it is discovered, it is immeasurably valuable. Not because it changed itself, but because the world recognized what was already true. A woman who understands this never asks, "Am I enough for him?" Instead, she asks, "Is he enough for me?" That shift changes everything, because a woman who believes in herself doesn't chase love, she chooses it. She isn't afraid of being alone because she knows she's never truly alone. She has herself. And a woman who has herself, it cannot be ignored. Seneca once wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials." You don't build confidence by waiting for someone to see your worth. You build it by standing in the discomfort of not needing it. So stop shrinking. Stop second-guessing yourself. Stop giving your power away in exchange for approval. Let him wonder. Let him work for your attention. Let him feel your absence when you don't over-explain, don't overgive, and don't overcompensate. Confidence is not about proving yourself, it's about knowing you never had to. The moment you realize you are already enough, you stop asking if you are. And that That's when he becomes weak for you. Not because you asked for it, but because he can't help it. 2. Independence makes you more attractive. There's a difference between a woman who chooses a man and a woman who needs him. One is free, the other is bound. Men don't fall in love with dependency. They fall in love with the woman who remains a mystery, not because she hides herself, but because she has a world outside of him, a purpose, a vision, a life that does not revolve around him. A woman who has her passions is captivating because she is whole. She is not waiting for a relationship to complete her. She is already complete. Too many women make the mistake of centering their world around a man, thinking that the more they give, the more they prioritize him over themselves, and the more valuable they will be in his eyes. But that only makes her predictable, available, replaceable. The more she gives up her identity, the more invisible she becomes. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When a woman's happiness is tied to a man, she loses control of both. Alana was the kind of woman who used to believe that love meant sacrifice. She was smart, beautiful, and full of potential. But the moment she fell in love, she made him her entire world. At first he adored it. The constant attention, the unwavering devotion. She canceled plans for him. She adjusted her schedule around his. She gave up opportunities that might take her away from him. He was her priority, and she thought that made her irreplaceable. But the more she revolved around him, the less he noticed her. She became predictable. She was always available, always waiting. And without realizing it, she lost the fire that once made her magnetic. The woman who had dreams, ambitions, a life of her own, that woman disappeared. And when she disappeared, so did his fascination. The breaking point came when she overheard him talking to a friend. "She's great," he said, "but I don't know. It's like, I already know everything about her." That hit her like a cold wave. For months, she had done everything to make him happy, to show him she was the perfect woman. But instead of making him want her more, it made him take her for granted. She thought love was about giving, but she forgot that a woman who gives up everything loses the very thing that made her attractive in the first place, her independence. That night, she made a decision. She wouldn't wait for his attention. She wouldn't shrink herself for love. She would reclaim herself. Alana started saying no. She took back her time and her priorities. She stopped dropping everything for him and started investing in herself. She reconnected with friends. She pursued the career opportunities she once turned down. She became busy, not as a game, not to make him jealous, but because she remembered who she was before him. And suddenly, everything changed. The man who once grew distant became curious again. He saw something different in her, the woman he first fell for, the woman who had a spark, a purpose, the woman who didn't need him, but could choose him. A woman's independence isn't about being cold or distant, it's about being whole. Think of a candle and the flame it carries. A flame doesn't chase the wind, it doesn't beg to be kept alive, it burns because it fuels itself. And because of that, people are drawn to its warmth. A woman who stands on her own 2 feet, who knows that her life is valuable with or without a man, carries a flame that cannot be ignored. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." How much time have you wasted waiting for someone to make you feel important, instead of making yourself important first? How much of your potential have you put on hold for a love that never required you to dim your light in the first place? You don't need to prove your worth to a man by giving up yourself. The moment you stop seeking approval and start living for yourself, something shifts. The balance of power changes. He stops being the center of your world, and suddenly you become the center of his. That's why independence is attractive. Because a woman who values herself doesn't settle. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She attracts. Drop words in the comments, "I am enough," because you are. 3. Deep emotional connection. The attraction gets his attention, but the connection keeps him coming back. A man may be drawn to beauty, but what makes him stay is the feeling of being understood, of being seen beyond what the world expects of him. Society demands that he be strong, rational, and composed, that he holds everything together, never shows weakness, and never falters. But beneath that armor, he is still human. And like all humans, he craves something deeper than admiration. He craves a place where he can just be. A woman who truly understands this wields a quiet power. She knows that being desired is fleeting, but being trusted is everything. She is not just the woman who excites him, she is the woman who anchors him. Men do not express their emotions the way women do. They have been conditioned to believe that vulnerability is weakness, and that silence is strength. But even the strongest man wants a place where he can let go of the weight he carries. He may never say it outright, but he longs for a presence that doesn't demand, doesn't pressure, and doesn't expect him to always perform. The woman he cannot forget is not the one who looks perfect, not the one who plays hard to get, but the one who makes him feel safe in a way no one else does. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Most people think attraction is about looks, charm, or chemistry. But the truth is, the most powerful kind of attraction happens in the mind. When a man feels mentally and emotionally drawn to you, when he sees you as his sanctuary, not just his lover, that's when he's truly weak for you. This is not about fixing him, not about mothering him, not about waiting for him to open up. It's about something much deeper, being the one who truly listens. Men are not as unreadable as they seem. They express themselves in the smallest ways: a shift in tone, a hesitation in their words, a glance held a second too long. But most people don't notice. Most people hear, but they don't listen. And so most people never truly connect. When a woman learns to listen, not just to words but to everything left unsaid, she becomes something irreplaceable. She doesn't interrupt to give advice when he doesn't ask for it. She doesn't rush to fill the silence when he's lost in thought. She lets him unfold at his own pace. And in that stillness, he finds what he never knew he needed. Someone who sees him, not just the version of him the world expects. Imagine a river carving through the stone. Over time, the water doesn't force its way through. It simply moves with understanding, shaping the landscape effortlessly. A woman who knows how to connect emotionally moves the same way. She doesn't demand, she doesn't rush. She allows space for him to come forward at his own pace, to be vulnerable without fear of judgment. That's what makes him feel safe, what makes him crave you beyond anything physical. Because a man does not open his soul to just anyone. And the moment he does, he never forgets the woman who made it possible. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Most women focus on what they should say to impress a man. The real power is in what you choose not to say. In the moments when you hold space for him to fill the silence, when you let him be seen without needing to perform. This is not about always agreeing, always reassuring, always making things easy. It's about being present, about making him feel that with you he can put down his guard. And that feeling? That is rare. Because the truth is, a man can have chemistry with many, but deep emotional connection with very few. And the few? Those are the ones he never lets go of. There's a reason why some women leave a lasting imprint, while others are easily forgotten. It's not just about how they look, but about how they make him feel. A truly beautiful woman carries more than just a striking face or an elegant presence. She carries an aura of understanding, of depth, of wisdom. She knows that real intimacy isn't just about the moments of passion, but about the quiet moments in between. The ones where no words are needed, yet everything is understood. That's what makes her unforgettable. That's why he keeps coming back. 4. The power of mystery. If you give everything away too soon, his interest can fade just as quickly. Mystery, however, holds him captive. It draws him in, creating an irresistible magnetism that keeps him wanting to discover more about you, piece by piece. Think of it as a great book or an unforgettable movie. A relationship just like this is most captivating when it unfolds gradually, when there's always something new to learn. Keeping some things private and letting the connection build naturally over time will make you more attractive and more magnetic. This isn't about playing games, but about keeping the depth and allure intact. The truth is, when everything is laid bare too early, the excitement of discovery diminishes, and so does his desire to pursue it. When you withhold just enough, you create an air of curiosity and intrigue that draws him closer without even trying. That is the essence of attraction, not in the chase, but in the mystery that makes him wonder about you. In Stoic philosophy, there is wisdom in knowing that control over oneself is the ultimate freedom. The more a person can retain their composure and not give in to the impulse to expose everything, the more they hold power in their hands. As Marcus Aurelius stated, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. The same applies to how we present ourselves in relationships. If we give too much too soon, we diminish the value of the connection by revealing it all too early. The mystery is what keeps him engaged, what makes him want to stay. A woman who understands this dynamic doesn't need to explain every thought, every emotion. She holds her ground, allowing him to come to her in his own time, to uncover the layers of who she is without rushing the process. This is a woman who exudes true strength and independence, not because she's withholding information, but because she understands the power of letting things unfold naturally. Penny was never the type of woman who tried too hard. She was beautiful, graceful, and deeply intriguing. But what made her so captivating wasn't just her looks, it was how she held space in a room. She had a way of engaging with people, especially men, that made them feel drawn to her, but never fully understood her. She didn't share everything, and she wasn't desperate for attention. She didn't need to impress anyone. Instead, she created a subtle pull, a force of attraction that kept people, especially men, wanting more. In a relationship, this was her secret weapon. Penny didn't run after love, she allowed it to come to her. She allowed men to come to her, to slowly peel back the layers of who she was, one discovery at a time. She understood that the more she withheld, the more intrigued they became. Not because she was playing games, but because she knew the art of building emotional depth without rushing into intimacy. There was a man who she had met casually, and over time, she noticed him becoming more and more interested. At first, he was intrigued by her charm and her beauty, but as time went on, it was her mysterious depth that kept him thinking about her, questioning her, and wanting to know more. She never gave him all the answers. She was open when needed, but she also allowed him to come closer when he was ready. The slower the relationship unfolded, the more attached he became. This wasn't by accident. Penny understood that mystery wasn't about holding feelings, it was about letting a relationship grow naturally, without the pressure of needing to reveal everything up front. And the man? He fell hard for her. Not because she was perfect, but because she held her own emotional territory, inviting him in bit by bit. Think of a garden that has just begun to bloom. It isn't full of color immediately, but with each passing day, new flowers appear. Each one surprises you, catches your eye, and makes you want to come back for more. The garden doesn't rush to reveal itself all at once. It lets the beauty unfold naturally, one petal at a time. Similarly, when a woman knows how to let things unfold in her relationships, she creates an irresistible allure. Not because she's hiding her true self, but because she understands that love, respect, and connection are built over time, layer by layer. It is the very act of withholding just enough that draws him in. It's not manipulation. It's the simple, profound act of letting him discover who you are on his own terms. By not chasing and not revealing everything right away, you hold the power of mystery. And with mystery comes fascination. And with fascination comes unrelenting attraction. The Stoics knew that control over oneself is the ultimate freedom. By maintaining composure, by not revealing everything too quickly, a person can create a sense of mystery that becomes the foundation for deeper connection. They knew that patience and discipline lead to stronger emotional bonds. As Seneca wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In relationships, this same principle applies. The more you refrain from giving too much too soon, the more you control the course of your connection. A woman who understands the importance of not rushing is able to command respect because she doesn't need to prove herself. Her mystery speaks for her. When you withhold, when you allow things to unfold naturally, you position yourself as someone who is self-contained and self-sufficient, and that is what makes a man truly want to chase you. The power is in control, self-respect, and the slow reveal. 5. Confidence with boundaries. Commands respect. Confidence is not just about how you look, how you dress, or how you speak. It's about what you allow and what you refuse. A truly confident woman does not fear saying no. She does not hesitate to walk away from anything that does not align with her worth. A woman who knows her value does not beg for attention, does not tolerate disrespect, and does not lower her standards just to keep a man interested. She understands that her confidence is not about proving herself to others. It's about knowing who she is, regardless of external validation. Men admire beauty, but they respect boundaries. A woman who allows mistreatment in the name of love will never be truly valued. A woman who demands respect by the way she carries herself, by the way she speaks, by the way she chooses who gets access to her, she is unforgettable. A man may be drawn to many, but he stays for the one who makes him rise to meet her standards. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." The ability to walk away, not out of anger, not as a game, but from a place of self-respect, is the greatest power a woman can hold. When a man senses that you will not stay where you are undervalued, he has two choices. He steps up or he steps aside. Either way, you do not lose, because a woman who holds her standards never settles for anything less than she deserves. The world teaches women to be accommodating, to be soft, to avoid conflict in order to keep love. But there is no love without respect. There is no real admiration without boundaries. And a woman who refuses to compromise her standards forces the people around her to make a choice. Treat her well or lose her. That is not arrogance, that is self-respect in its purest form. Picture a sculptor working with marble. Each cut, each refinement, and each careful decision defines the masterpiece. But imagine if the sculptor were careless, allowing any chisel mark, any rough stroke, any imperfection to remain. The beauty would fade under thoughtless mistakes. A woman who lacks boundaries is like an unshaped marble, permitting careless treatment, tolerating disrespect, and hoping that if she gives more, she will be loved more. But real confidence is in knowing where to draw the line, in choosing to refine, to protect the shape of who you are, rather than allowing anyone to carve away at you. That is why men respect the woman who knows how to say enough. A confident woman understands the balance of strength and softness. She does not use her power to control others, but she does not let others control her. She is kind, but she does not accept mistreatment. She is compassionate, but she does not allow herself to be taken for granted. Many women are afraid to set boundaries because they fear it will push a man away. But here's the truth. The wrong man will always be pushed away by your standards. The right man will rise to meet them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one." The same applies to confidence. It's not about saying, "I deserve better." It's about living like someone who does. The way you carry yourself, the way you handle disappointment, the way you choose who stays in your life and who doesn't, that is what defines you. When a woman truly values herself, she does not waste energy proving it. She does not explain why she deserves respect. She simply embodies it. Think of an expensive perfume. It does not demand attention. It does not announce itself loudly, yet the moment it enters a room, it commands presence. People notice. They are drawn in. They recognize its value without being told. A woman with strong boundaries carries the same power. She does not chase, she does not beg, she does not shrink herself to fit into a man's world. She stands tall, unshaken, knowing that the right people will respect her, and the wrong ones will remove themselves. That's the secret. Not trying harder, but standing firmer. 6. Respect is non-negotiable. Respect is not something you ask for. It is something you command. A woman who understands her worth does not tolerate disrespect. Not in words, not in actions, not in silence. She does not allow herself to be an option, nor does she stay where she is not valued. She knows that the way she carries herself, the standards she sets, and the boundaries she enforces dictate how she is treated. A man will either rise to meet your standards or step aside. And either way, you win. Some women fear setting high expectations, afraid it will drive a man away. But here's the truth. The wrong man will always be pushed away by your boundaries, while the right man will respect them. A man who is truly interested in you will never see your self-respect as a burden. He will see it as a challenge, an invitation to step up, not step back. A relationship without mutual respect is a slow death. It may survive on attraction, on habit, on fear of being alone. But without respect, love becomes an obligation. An obligation is not love. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." The same applies to relationships. A high-value woman does not entertain those who diminish her. She does not waste time explaining why she deserves kindness, honesty, and effort. She simply expects it, and if she does not receive it, she walks away without hesitation. A woman who values herself does not chase validation. She does not try to prove her worth. She does not bend over backward to convince someone to respect her. She knows that true respect is not begged for, it is inspired. When you hold yourself to a high standard, people learn that they must treat you accordingly, or they will lose access to you. And that is power. A woman who respects herself will never be an option. If a man does not recognize her value, she does not waste time proving it. She does not allow disrespect disguised as love, nor does she justify behavior that diminishes her. A high-value woman understands that the moment she starts explaining why she deserves respect is the moment she has already lost it. Think of a priceless diamond. Not everyone can have it. Not everyone deserves it. It is rare, untouchable, and valuable. People do not question its worth. It is known. A woman who carries herself with confidence and self-respect is no different. She does not need to announce her worth, she simply is. And the moment a man realizes that she will not settle, that she will not tolerate anything less than respect, he has two choices: treat her like the diamond she is, or lose her forever. Men are not drawn to women who tolerate mistreatment. They are drawn to the ones who demand respect without saying a word. And here's the secret. When a woman truly values herself, she does not fight for a place in anyone's life. She does not negotiate her standards. She does not tolerate uncertainty. If she is not chosen fully, she chooses herself. A man learns a woman's value by what she accepts. The woman who stays despite repeated disrespect teaches him that he never has to rise to meet her. The woman who walks away when her standards are not met teaches him that if he wants to be in her world, he must be better. There is strength in kindness, but weakness in allowing disrespect. A confident woman is not rude. She does not demand attention or admiration. She is soft, yet firm. Open, yet guarded. Strong, yet gentle. She knows that the most powerful presence is not loud, it is unshakable. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one." A woman who embodies respect naturally commands it. She does not need to remind people of her value because her actions, her choices, and our presence all speak louder than words. She is polished, composed, and intentional. She does not let desperation dictate her decisions. She does not lower her standards for anyone. She is an invitation, not a convenience. She does not beg for effort. She does not remind a man to treat her well. She does not settle for half-hearted love. A man either shows up fully or not at all. A man may be initially drawn to a woman's looks, her energy, her charm. But what makes him stay? Respect. A woman who respects herself teaches others how to treat her. She is not cold, but she is selective. She is not arrogant, but she is discerning. She does not make space for men who take her presence for granted. And because of that, the right man will never want to lose her. Because respect is the foundation of every deep connection. And a man who truly values you will never question giving you the one thing you should never have to ask for. 7. Energy and positivity. Keep him hooked. There is something magnetic about a woman who carries positive energy. It's not about always being happy, nor about pretending that life is perfect. It's about having an undeniable presence, one that makes people feel good when they are around you. Men are drawn to beauty, but they stay for energy. A woman who radiates warmth, confidence, and an effortless lightness becomes irreplaceable. Not just in romantic relationships, but in every aspect of life. When you bring positivity, playfulness, and emotional strength, you become a source of comfort and inspiration. And that is something no man will ever want to let go of. But here's the catch. Your energy should not be about him. It should never be about trying to keep a man interested. It should always be about you. When a woman focuses on her own happiness, when she cultivates joy and passion from within, she becomes truly unshakable. Her glow is not dependent on external validation, and that is what makes her captivating. A man may admire beauty, but he falls for a woman who makes his world feel lighter, calmer, and more alive. Stoicism teaches that your inner state should never be dictated by external forces. The world is unpredictable. people are unreliable, and love is ever-changing. If your happiness depends on someone else, you give them the power to control your emotions. But when you cultivate your own energy, when you choose peace and positivity despite the chaos around you, you hold the power. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That means you do not let his words, his actions, or his presence define your state of mind. You remain in control of how you show up in the world, how you handle situations, and how you maintain your inner peace. When a woman fully owns her emotional state, she becomes a force that people naturally want to be around. Not because she is constantly happy, but because she is emotionally grounded, radiating strength that cannot be taken away. There was a woman named Elena. She had been through heartbreak, disappointments, and moments where she felt completely lost. But over time, she realized one powerful truth: she was the source of her own happiness. She stopped looking for validation, stopped waiting for a man to make her feel wanted, stopped expecting someone else to bring joy into her life. Instead, she found it within herself. She started doing things that made her soul come alive, traveling, learning, and building a life she loved. She surrounded herself with people who uplifted her, indulged in passions that fulfilled her, and focused on her own growth. Men noticed. They were drawn to her presence, her vibrancy, the way she carried herself with effortless confidence. But the difference? She wasn't doing it for them. And that's why they chased her. Her energy wasn't something she gave away freely. It was something people had to earn access to. And the man who truly saw her, the man who understood that she wasn't looking for someone to complete her, but rather someone worthy enough to stand beside her, he was the one who stayed. Think about a candle. When it burns brightly, it illuminates everything around it. But what happens if the candle lets itself be consumed by the flame of others? It turns out, it loses its glow. That is what happens when a woman allows her energy to be drained by external forces, by people who don't appreciate her, by relationships that take more than they give. But when a woman protects her light, when she keeps her glow for herself first, she shines in a way that is undeniable. And a man? He will never forget a woman whose energy elevates his world. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Do not waste it on people who drain it. Do not give it away to someone who hasn't earned it. A man will be drawn to a woman who brings something valuable into his life. Not just physical beauty, not just affection, but an energy that makes him feel alive, inspired, and understood. And here's the truth. The most attractive woman is not the one who looks a certain way. It's the one who feels a certain way, confident, strong, and at peace with herself. Because a woman who is happy on her own does not chase love. Love chases her. 8. Never lose yourself for love. Nothing is more tragic than a woman who dims her own light to make someone else shine. Too often, women fall into the trap of self-sacrifice in love, changing themselves, shrinking their voices, suppressing their dreams, all in the hope of keeping a man. They believe that by becoming what he wants, they will be cherished. But in the end, they only lose themselves. And the truth is, the moment you abandon your essence for someone else is the moment you start becoming invisible to them. Love, at its core, is not about losing yourself. It is about expanding together. The right person does not require you to trade in your authenticity for their comfort. If love demands that you erase yourself, it is not love, it is control. A high-value woman does not shapeshift to please a man. She does not trade her passions, her ambitions, or her individuality just to fit into someone else's world. Because a man does not fall for a woman who blends in, he falls for a woman who stands out. Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in self-ownership. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This means defining your own worth, setting your own standards, and never letting external forces dictate who you become. It is about choosing yourself first, always. Many women believe that to be loved, they must be easy, accommodating, and agreeable. But Stoicism rejects this illusion. A person who does not stand up for themselves will be easily controlled. A woman who does not have her own foundation will be built and broken by others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you have 1,000 years to live." This is a reminder. Do not waste your life trying to be someone else just to be loved. Time is too precious to be spent pleasing, conforming, and losing yourself for the sake of a temporary attachment. The right man will not require you to change. He will celebrate who you already are. There was a woman named Sienna. She was radiant, ambitious, and full of life. But when she fell in love, she slowly began to fade. At first, it was small things, changing how she dressed, shifting her schedule to match his, avoiding certain conversations that made him uncomfortable. But over time, she became someone she did not recognize. She stopped pursuing her own goals, let go of the things that once made her feel alive, and molded herself into what she thought he wanted. And then, one day, she realized he was no longer drawn to her. Because she was no longer her. What had once made her irresistible, her independence, her passion, her fire, had been replaced by dependence, compromise, and quiet desperation. And as much as she tried to keep him, he had already lost interest. The moment she chose him over herself, she became replaceable. So she made a choice. Not to leave him, but to find herself again. She stopped waiting for his approval. She started chasing her own dreams again. She became the woman she was before she lost herself. And that is when something interesting happened. He started chasing her again. But this time, she wasn't chasing him back. Think of a fire. It burns bright, powerful, untamed. It draws people in, warms them, mesmerizes them. But what happens when you smother it? When you deny it oxygen, when you try to control its flames? It dies out. A woman's essence is the same. The moment she smothers her own light to keep a man comfortable, she loses the very thing that made her captivating in the first place. And here's the reality. No man wants to love a shadow. He falls for the fire, the warmth, and the untamed brilliance of a woman who owns herself fully. A woman who knows that love is an addition to her life, not the definition of it. A high-value woman never abandons herself in love. She does not apologize for her dreams, her passions, her essence. She understands that if a man cannot handle the fullness of who she is, then he is not strong enough to be in her world. She does not mold herself into a version that is easier for him to accept. She does not dim herself to fit into his vision. She understands this. The right man will not require you to be less. He will rise to meet you where you are. Because the most unforgettable woman is the one who stays true to herself, no matter who stands beside her. Everything we've discussed comes down to one undeniable truth. The way you carry yourself determines how others treat you. Confidence, mystery, emotional depth, independence, respect, and unwavering self-worth, these are not just strategies to make a man weak for you. They are the foundation of a life where you never have to chase love, validation, or approval. A woman who understands her value does not beg for attention. She does not shrink herself to keep someone comfortable. She does not sacrifice her identity in the name of love. Instead, she stands firm in who she is, knowing that the right man will rise to meet her, not expect her to lower herself for him. This is not about games. This is about mastering yourself. Stoicism teaches us that true power comes from within, from your ability to control your mind, your emotions, and your reactions. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose. You choose how you show up. You choose what energy you bring. You choose who gets access to you. So make it clear. Only those who honor your worth, respect your standards, and cherish your presence will have the privilege of being in your world. Now take this knowledge and apply it. Practice confidence every day. Protect your energy. Set unshakable standards. Never explain your worth. Demonstrate it, and watch how people respond. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to walk away to protect your value? Have you experienced the power of self-respect? Share your story. I want to hear it.